Today, this is a huge problem. Eye stimulation means brain stimulation. And many people, the television's always on, or the iPad, or the games, or it's just go, 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 go the whole time. And when the eyes are constantly being exposed to this, and then it all stops, guess what happens? The brain actually can get depressed. It's been overstimulated, and when it all stops, it can actually go into an experience of depression. That's why I say limit technology time. Limit your children's technology time and limit your technology time. The most dangerous time to allow your eyes to view technology is between these hours here. I must spend, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours a day on emails, but I always stop when I'm nearing these hours. Don't let your eyes have exposure to that in those hours. And also limit your time so that you have not got this overstimulation. I remember watching my little, well, he's not little now, he's very big now, but my son James, he's 39 now. I think he was about 8, and it was a rainy day, and he was sitting on the lounge and he had a bottle top and an elastic band, and I timed him 2 hours. I don't know what the bottle top and the elastic band became, but they went down here and they went up there and they went round there. 2 hours. There he was, off by himself for 2 hours. Do you know, it's very, very good for children to know how to occupy themselves and to play their little games. It's very, very good for them. When children are overstimulated, they lose the art of being able to entertain themselves. It's a great art to take all through your life, don't you agree? Poison. The brain can be poisoned. What poisons the brain? What poisons the brain? Mercury can poison the brain. Alcohol can poison the brain. Drugs can poison the brain. MSG can poison the brain. And there's one that I didn't put here, and that is chemicals. A lot of Vietnam veterans die early because of their exposure to chemicals. And often the two things they die from is suicide and cancer because of the damage done from the chemicals. All of these things can poison the brain and can contribute to depression. What also poisons the brain is violence. And a lot of young people today are watching violence on the games, violence on the videos. And our brain, as you saw in the laws of the mind, it adjusts and adapts to whatever we watch. It adjusts and adapts to whatever we're listening to. So be very cautious of what you're watching because it's having an effect on your brain. What is it? Monkey see, monkey do? Negativity can poison the brain. Do you know what that means? You can have someone who is keeping, well, the 7 laws. They're exercising, they're going to bed early, they're not doing any of this, and yet they're always negative. Could you help me with this? No, I can't do it. No, I'm hopeless. Can we go out today? No, look at the weather. No, everything. Have you noticed? Everything is negative. And do you remember what I said in the last lecture? When we entertain and cherish negativity, little thorns grow in between the dendrites. Negativity can poison the brain. Watching negativity, listening to negativity, and also allowing your brain to think negativity. One lady said, you don't understand, all my childhood I was told I was an idiot. Well, I met a man the other day, this was in America, and he was a real mover and a shaker man, you know, he managed big companies and his wife was sick and he was there doing everything he could. He was about, I don't know, 55. And somehow it came up his childhood. He said, oh, my father beat me just about every day of my life. He said I was the youngest, I was the boy, the girls were fine, I was not. He told me I was an idiot. Every day I was told I was an idiot and I would come to nothing. And he said, and after a while the beatings did nothing to me. And I used to think to myself, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. And he said, and I did. I love it. And yet someone else can go through that and just their life is a mess. We don't choose what happens to us, but we choose what we do with it. And it's as simple as this. If you say it's great, guess what? It will be. And if you say it's terrible, guess what? It will be. We choose. We choose the way we see it. It's called cognitive behavioural therapy. It's like the lady, she said to me, oh, I can't stand it. I wake up at 3 o'clock every morning. It drives me crazy. It's so annoying. I said, all right. And then she heard the lecture how we get our hours of power between the hours of 2 p.m. and, 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. I said, now, when you wake up at 3, you can go, fantastic. I've got my hours of power. I'll just have a little bit of a doze. You see, nothing's changed except the way she sees it. In fact, the research shows that cognitive behavioural therapy is the most effective way to improve insomnia. I was pregnant or breastfeeding non-stop for 14 years. I breastfed 3 months into every pregnancy. And I used to sleep with my babies. Also, as apparently you're not supposed to do that anymore, but I used to sleep with all my babies and they're all still alive. I used to think, you feed the baby like this, you're not going to roll on yourself. Sometimes I'd have a little one with a cold and a little baby that had a bit of a cold. I somehow used to fit them all into bed, but I might be up a bit in the night. If I could get 4 hours in one go, I was doing really well. And if I'd wake up, 4 hours, because guess what? When you wake up in the morning, there's the dishes and there's all the kids, and then I homeschooled and still all there. It's very faithful. It's still all there. And you know what I found? If I was a happy, calm mother, guess what? All the kids were. That's so much, makes life so much easier. In the early days, when I just had 4 children, and I had a baby, and I had a toddler, and I had a 4-year-old, and my little 6-year-old was just starting to learn school. And one day, everything, what do they call, belly up. And Emma just couldn't get the school, and I got my hand and I swept all the schoolwork onto the floor. Oh dear. Then the ramifications of that were terrible. I had upset. I never did that again. I learned a lot from that. Do you know what I do now? Just picture a few years later, I've got a baby and I've got a toddler and I've got a 4-year-old and I've got a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old doing school. And sometimes it all happens at once. Every mother knows it. The 10-year-old can't get the long division. The 8-year-old can't get this spelling word. It all happens at once. And then the 4-year-old's pencil just broke. 6-year-old. And then the 4-year-old, she can't get the dress on her doll. And then the 2-year-old, the wheels come off his car and the baby needs a feed all at once. Well, do you know what I learned? You just tackle it one at a time. Because that situation where I just threw all the school, I had a house to clean up that. Plus I felt like an idiot. So I'd say, James, we'll look at the long division later. Can you put the wheel back on Peter's car? Emma, we'll put that aside. We'll look at it this afternoon. And can you fix up Julia's dress? And you see, you just tackle it and then you sit and you feed the baby. And you know what I found? Everything happens at once, but 5 minutes later it's not. And as I showed you this morning, the highest function of the frontal lobe is foresight. Right? You've got to think ahead, and sometimes you think back and go, look at this. Do you know, laughter's such good medicine. I have rewired my brain to laugh when things go wrong. Dear, it's good. It is so good, because if you weren't laughing, what would you be doing? You'll be crying. That's right. That's right. You can rewire your brain because life should be good. And you know, our attitude is in our hands. No one else's hands. It's in our hands.